Welcome back, my friends, to another math lesson with Miss Buford. Today's topic continues to be division, but this time we're going to take a look at the topic of reasonableness. Does our answer sound or look reasonable? Yesterday we practiced by first attempting to use estimation to double check and see if our answers are reasonable. So let me write that in there. We're going to keep that in the forefront. Reasonableness. What does that mean? What does that really mean in the math world? Well, it could mean several things, but bottom line is, does my answer make sense? And for advanced mathematicians, it means, can I prove it? Can I prove my answer because it is reasonable? So reasonable that I definitely cannot argue with anyone about this answer. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that today. I brought a model problem with me today just so that we can get started, and then later on I'll show you what that looks like in the kind of work that we're going to be practice out of our textbook today. Okay, so here is our model problem. I'm going to give you a second to take a look at it. Excellent. Let's read it together. Jennifer and Anna are going on a road trip. They have 7,134 miles to drive over 9 days. Jennifer says that they will need to drive about 400 miles each day. Is her answer reasonable? Explain your answer. Notice that I have taken my paper and divided it into two sections. It could be that I'm trying to use more than one strategy to prove my thinking, or it could be that here I'm going to do some modeling and some work to kind of figure out what my answer should be. And then I'm going to use the bottom of the space to really write out a reasonable explanation as to what I'm thinking and how I can use that information given to me to prove it. So let's get started. First of all, I reread this and I notice information that is given to me, and I say Jennifer and Anna are going on a road trip. That is the background, that is the context of the information in which I'm going to use my math to solve a problem. They have 7,134 miles. So I'm going to go ahead and box in miles along with that number because that's what that number is related to. It's not related to money, it's not related to days, it's not related to anything else but to miles. So I have to keep that word miles with the numbers, okay? Next, I'm going to look at any other numbers in my problem, and I notice that there is a 9 in my problem within the same sentence. But notice the word right after 9. Do you see that word? It says days. 9 days. So I am also going to box in those two together because the number 9 is related to the word days. 9 days, that many miles. Now, let's see what is it that they're asking me to do with this information. They give me a context and they says, Jennifer says that they will need to drive. So I'm going to say to drive about 400 miles each day. Well, keyword here is going to be about. So what do you think we are being asked to do? We're being asked to take a look at how reasonable this estimate is because of the word about. And then we're being asked to explain what it is that we're thinking. So, what are the tasks? What is the what? Is it reasonable? And explain. So those are my two tasks at hand. Will I need to use math to do that? Well, of course. I'm going to be using the same strategy that I've been using since the beginning of our semester, which is place value and estimation. I'm going to look at fact families. Fact families and estimation to round or find compatible numbers. Note to self, I would go and get a piece of notebook paper right about now and copy this down. So pause the video, go get a piece of paper and copy this, because this is probably the repeated process that we're going to do throughout the day. Okay, I'll wait for you. Excellent. So now let me pretend that I'm trying to solve my model, and I'm not really good at figuring out what to do with these numbers, but I know that I can model my thinking with a picture. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say 9 days, and in each of those 9 days, they're going to drive 400 miles. So my first model is going to be a strip diagram. And my diagram needs to have, notice I'm going to leave it kind of open in it because I don't know what size they need to be. But I know that I need to put 400 on each one for 9 of them. So I'm going to make 1 and put 400. 2, put 400. 3, 4, 5, good thing we left it open, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 9 days. So this is going to be day 1, day 2, I'm going to put D2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, and day 9. Well, I can find total number of miles driven simply by sitting here and adding 400 over and over 9 times until I get there. Or I can use multiplication, which is repeated addition, to model this thinking. So I can say 400 miles times 9 days equals a total of 3,600 miles. Okay. So if I go by what this is saying, Jennifer says that they will need to drive about 400 miles each day. I can say, well, Jennifer, if I drive 400 miles every day for 9 days, I will only travel 3,600 miles. But our trip is this long. So, is this your reasonable estimate? And I'm going to have to say, it is not reasonable. What is a better way to solve? What should it be? Well, I could use the total number of miles that Jennifer and Anna need to drive, okay? And I can take that and change that number by using compatible numbers. So here's what I can look at. I can look at 7,134, and I'm going to hug or underline these first 2 digits. Those 2 digits are the 2 highest place value in my digit, in my number, and I can use those 2 numbers to estimate division. And I have to think of all of the fact families in 9s that would get me close to this. So watch this. I can say, I know I'm going to start with a higher number. I can say 9 times 5 is 45. I can say 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 7 is 63. 9 times 8 is 72. Whoa, hold on a second, guys. 72 and 71 look close enough to each other to where I can swap them out. So rather than calling this guy 7,134, I'm going to call this number 7,200 and then go ahead and divide by 9. Well, using fact families, I recall that 9 times 8 is 72. So this number divided by 9 must be the 8. But watch out, it's going to have to contain 2 multiples of 10, or 800. So not only is Jennifer incorrect, we're going to have to drive double 400 if we want to get there on time. So here is my explanation. This is how I make sense of it. I used compatible numbers to estimate how many miles, and it's Jennifer and Anna, so I'm going to put how many miles J and A needed to drive. and found that they must drive I'm going to put about right here, about 800 miles per day if they are going on a 7,134 mile trip. Jennifer's estimate is not big or reasonable because why, guys? It is too low. 400 is less than 800. Totally there. Okay. So now that we kind of had a guiding problem, notice all of the thinking and all of the reasoning that we had to do in order to get to this point, okay? So this is what I need you to do. I need you to help me out. You're going to be tearing out 4 pages today. Yeah, 4 pages, I know, but we're not going to do them all the way. And in fact, you're going to have not only now to turn them in, but over the holidays you can do them, okay? So let's start with the first 2. Don't panic. Keep your book on your desk, and then we can tear out the other 2 later, okay? The 2 pages that you're going to tear out is page 451 and 453. Those 2 will go together, okay? So pause the video and go ahead and go grab that and come right back. Make sure that you have extra paper so you can do some work on the side. See you in a bit.